Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Central Middle School's final band concert of the year. Prepping right now is our 6th grade band. In September, these students received instruments that they probably didn't know how to put together. They now know how to put them together, take them apart, clean them, and they also know how to make music with them. That is because they've been under the direction of our band director, Mr. James Gagney. We appreciate his efforts, and I'd like to turn the evening over to him.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our spring concert. We're excited to be out here for you, and we have a great evening of music here, and we appreciate the major sacrifice many of you made tonight to be here. And I can see it. And as I told the kids, it's not game 7. So, but I'm glad all of you made it out here, and you're going to hear good music. And the Wings will win with you or without you, I promise you that. That first piece was a march entitled March 1st by a composer named Jay Chataway. It was a very eclectic kind kind of background. He's written for beginning bands, he's written for high school bands. He also wrote for big bands. One of his most famous times, if any of you remember the Maynard Ferguson band from the 70s, wrote a lot of kind of the rock-oriented big band things, and doing versions of Rocky and Star Trek and all of the kind of pop type of things that Maynard Ferguson would do that was popular. Next thing we're going to do is entitled Lullaby for Band, and it's a Basque lullaby. And of course that's somewhat current events, thinking about Basque, but it's a very pretty melody, and we're going to do that now. Our next selection is something that's very important to get kids to play and appreciate some of the literature that often is left behind in bands, and even at the beginning level. And this next piece, Minuet and March, are taken from a couple of melodies by Mozart, who is arguably one of the greatest composers of all time. And so it's good to get them to hear play some of the literature, and also to play in the style. One of the biggest things with bands are the ones that play with style are the ones that stick out as being excellent bands. And so we try to play a lot of different styles. We had the lullaby just now that's slower and has a lot longer phrases. The march, of course, and of course in America, marches are very important in style in the band. And this is in the classical style. So this is Minuet and March by Mozart. For the final selection of the 6th grade, I'd like to, this last piece is called Castles and Kings. And it's a pretty tough piece. There's a couple of reasons for it. There's some of the rhythms are a little more developed than for 6th grade, but more importantly, the harmony. And sometimes we learn about harmony music, we get major and minor. But back in medieval times, which is what this is patterned after, we had some harmonies that are a little different than what we're used to today. And that's the type of harmonies used in this piece, what we call quarter or fourths intervals. And so you'll hear that kind of medieval sound throughout. And a lot of times when you're playing that in band, you're expecting to hear major and minor, and you hear that, and you wonder for a second, now wait a minute, am I playing the right note? And so we have to go through that and understand, yep, this is right, this is the way the style of the piece goes. You'll also hear some things like the end, similar to a Hickory third, where we're in minor for a while, but the last note ends in major, and it kind of makes you go, oh, the very last note is like that. So this is the final selection for 6th grade of Castles and Kings. we're going to try something new this year. As we get set up from 6th grade to 7th grade, we're going to feature our jazz band. So we're going to get the 6th grade off the stage as the jazz band gets ready, and as soon as they're on, we'll get going to that. So it'll be 1 second. Okay, we're going to try this one. This, folks, we call it Central Jazz Lab. And for those of you who didn't hear us in March, this group has been meeting during the day, and we've been practicing pieces in the jazz style. This is not like a typical big band. What we have here is a group that's been practicing doing some music theory and listening to some of the combos and jazz breaks that improvise. And so that is what we're based on here. So we're going to try 2 songs for you here between the 6th and 7th grade. First one is one that most of you know, and it's also famous for the theme song for the Harlem Globetrotters, and then the Sweet Joy of the Brown. And then after that, we're going to do the George Gershwin tune that's from the opera accordion best, but jazz players took it over and made a great jazz tune out of it at summertime. So, this is Central Jazz Lab. temptation to bring this over to the piano here in this new lounge, so we'll stay away from that. That was Sweet Georgia Brown. Now, I talked about learning the harmonies and so on, and making sure we understand the nature of improvisation. These guys have no idea what they're going to play. Well, I shouldn't say that. They don't know exactly what they're going to play before they step up to the microphone. It's the nature of jazz improv. They understand what harmonies, what choices they have, and based on the style, and we do a lot of listening and working out things, and based on they have the freedom to make it up, which is one of the reasons I feel this art form and playing in a group like this is very interesting and challenging. So that's what they're doing. So next thing, as I mentioned, is Summertime by George Gershwin. I should do this now because we run on the stage afterwards. I just want to introduce the group real quick to make sure we all know who's who. Let's see here. In the dark back there, our auxiliary percussionist is Tanya Brockett and bongos. On drums, Annie Williams. On bass, Matt Doan. On baritone, Dylan Jones. And you notice baritone, French horn, a few instruments you don't see in a big band. That's the luxury of having a group like this. I could take any instrument. Didn't matter, it wasn't your traditional trumpet, saxophone, trombone. On French horn then, Jeremy Bettine. Our trumpet section, as it were, Sarah Dubay. He asked me to do this, apparently he wants to get beat up. Garrett the Hurricane Veal. I'm not responsible for you after the show. On trombone, Justin Sikowski. And on flute, Dan Coda. So as you see him step up to the mic, you know who you're listening to. Now, this is Summertime. Okay, that's our jazz band now. 1 second, I'm going to get the jazz band cleared off, and I'm going to run downstairs with the 7th grade and be ready for the next portion of our concert. I lied. This is the 7th grade band. Our first piece we're going to perform tonight is a march entitled Mighty Mac. And no, it's not even after the party. It's after the bridge up in Mackinac. And written by a gentleman by the name of Lloyd Conley, who wrote many pieces, a lot of marches, and often used local area. He was a local gentleman. I think he lives up in the town. And he wrote Mighty Mac. He wrote one for the Blue Water Bridge. And he also wrote one for the Nebraska Bridge. And if I remember correctly, the bridge in Sault Ste. Marie as well. So he liked to use our international crossings as a theme for his marches. So this one is the one on the Mackinac Bridge, Mighty Mac. Our next selection, we're going to do a slow piece by Frank Harrison entitled Daladair, and I let the kids know often. This is a piece that is difficult enough that only good high school bands will do this piece. And To play with the proper phrasing, good breath support, keep it in tune is difficult, but they do it well, as you'll hear. This is ballad era. As you probably guessed, the fact that I bring a jazz band out here and enjoy doing that. Jazz is one of my favorite types of music. And so I couldn't resist singing a kind of neat arrangement, and coincidentally, with the hockey game tonight, I'm going to play that to the hilt. We'll call this the Carolina Hurricanes theme song for the next month, Mercy, 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 which is what they'll be pleading at the end of the week. We shed light over time. But this was actually a standard jazz tune written in the 60s and played through the 70s by a saxophonist by the name of Cannonball Adderley. And if anyone's ever heard of a concert by Cannonball Adderley, they're a lot of fun. It's almost like going to church. A lot of gospel type of jazz, and he always has a lot of fun with his music, and this piece is exactly like that. So this is kind of a fun gospel jazz standard, Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. The last two pieces we'll dedicate first to Sergei Fedorov, followed by Pavel Natsev. You notice we have a Russian program the rest of the way here. And the next piece is really a tough piece of music, not necessarily technically, although there's parts about it that are difficult. A lot of intertwining parts. If anyone remembers, Sergei Prokofiev was a 20th century Russian composer, probably most famous for writing Peter and the Wolf, which you'll often hear around Christmas time. And he's considered a neoclassicist. So in the same formal style of someone like a Mozart or an early Beethoven, but with the harmonies of more modern composers, although definitely not real dissonant, but so every once in a while you hear some things, and that's interesting. And if you study piano, there's a possibility you come across this piece. It's originally a piano piece that was transcribed for band, and this is called Gavotte, which is Opus 12, number 1, by Sergei Prokofiev.
Trying to do the solo with stand up things. You gotta clap for them. Oh, that's all right. That's good.
There's a lot of solos on that, so that's not your fault. I had to call out about 8 people real quick. But yeah, so very, very interesting piece. Now, staying with the Russian tradition, maybe going back a little bit in time. Dance of the Tumblers is a very exciting piece, very technical, a lot of fun, and this will conclude the 7th grade portion of the concert. written by Rimsky-Korsakov, who may be most famous in the orchestral world for Scheherazade. And this comes from a ballet, Dance of the Snow Maidens, or just the Snow Maidens, because this is dancing number. And so this, as I said, is very technical, very exciting, has a lot of solos in it as well, and we'll complete the 7th grade portion. We have 2 more tunes for the jazz band to play, and so we'll work it the same way we did after the 6th grade. As soon as they're off and the 8th grade follows, down the stairs, the jazz band will set up and play their final 2 selections. So, thank you very much. Give us 1 second, we'll have the jazz band back up, and we're ready to go. Our next jazz band selection we'd like to perform is a standard, and we're going to feature a flute player on this one. It's entitled Autumn Leaves, and starting off with a flute solo, kind of as a ballad, is Dan Coda, and then we'll play it kind of as a medium up-tempo. So this is Autumn Leaves. for the final selection of the jazz band tonight. It's one of my favorite all time. We're going to do a bossa, kind of a Latin tune written by a trumpet player named Kenny Dorham, and it's called Blue Bossa. Okay, thank you very much. Central Jazz Lab. We'll be right back up with the 8th grade band, and we'll complete the final portion of our concert. Often to start off a portion of the concert with use a march, but something that works equally as well as a fanfare. And that's what that was, written by Andy Gimpy, called Fulton Arms Fanfare. The next piece we'd like to do is another very pretty song titled "A Childhood Hymn" by David Holsinger. And this is based on the old hymn tune, "Jesus Loves Me." So this is "A Childhood Hymn."
Thank
For our next piece, now we'll do a march. And this is kind of a fun 2/4 march entitled Le Sabre. And here we go. Moving right along. So through the second period yet? No answers, I was expecting. Yeah, what's the score? Okay. I would have never bet against someone knowing right now. Okay, two more to go. For the next one we're going to do is an old sailor song that was taken by a great wind band composer, Percy Granger. And this one is scored a little bit differently, made a little more suitable for the middle school by a gentleman named John Moss, who was actually a Michigander. And so this is called British Waterside, subtitled The Jolly Sailor. And yes, this is a switch in the program for those who are following along. Thank you. Before we play our last piece, we do this every year, and this is something that it's always a lot of fun. We've had a great year this year. I've really enjoyed working with this group. This is my second year here now, and I really like the direction these kids are going. They've been working hard. And every year I get to choose a person to receive the Director's Award, and we're going to do that right now. And that's always difficult. Sometimes there's 6, 8, 20, 35 people that might be good for that Director's Award, and narrowing it down is difficult. But I felt that this year I decided that someone who was not only very dedicated to the band, they were very involved, participated in many things. This person who won this year, not only their section leader, but also was involved with the jazz band, also went to solo and ensemble. This person received a 1 in solo and ensemble, but so did everybody that went to Central this year, so that's very good. And so I'd like to present this year's Director's Award to Mr. Gann Williams. Danny's been a lot of fun to work with the last 2 years, and he's done a great job for the band. I know he's going to go on to the high school and continue being a great drummer and great piano player, and someone who's a big part of the band. We're going to play our final piece of the year, and this one is going to be something, at least parts of it you'll all know. Most of you will know all of it. A couple of the kids mentioned, boy, wouldn't it be neat to do the Pink Panther at some point? And of course, whenever that's suggested, I go, yeah. But there was a good arrangement of it in the library that we had, and I thought, well, let's pull this out. And of course, we could always qualify these things. And not only is there the Pink Panther theme, which you really only hear truly at the end, we also hear other tunes that Henry Mancini wrote that we heard throughout the Pink Panther series, the movie. All right, and a lot of the kids know the cartoon, but not many of them have seen the movie. And you'll also hear in this the Inspector Clouseau theme. And then It Had Better Be Tonight, I think is the name of it, yeah, which is a real fun Latin samba. And so this is highlights from the movie The Pink Panther. I want to thank everyone for coming out, and I think it's been a great year, and I hope everyone has a great summer. And to the younger ones, we'll see you next year, and 8th graders and parents, hope good luck at the high school. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great summer.